Hi there, welcome back to the A-Level Law Practice channel. I am your law teacher and today we are going to cover the topic on sentencing. This episode is going to be a little bit different from the previous ones as I have prepared two surprises in this video. So stay tuned. Before we begin, please note that this video guide will be most effective for you if you already have some basic knowledge of the relevant chapters that I will be discussing. As this is part 1 of the video, I will only go through the contents of the answer with you and deal with the essay in part 2 of the video. If you find this video guide useful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click on the bell button to get notifications of new videos as I will be making video guides every week. With that said, let's get started with part 1 of video guide number 4. The question of the day reads, the emphasis on reform and rehabilitation should outweigh the need for retribution. Discuss the validity of the statement above while considering the range of sentences available to cater for the suggestion in the statement. To answer an examination question, we must first take note of two things, i.e., the relevant chapter and the focus of the question. After considering these two aspects of the question, we will then be able to address the question appropriately. From the question, we can infer that this question covers the chapter sentencing, and the focus of the question asks us to discuss the validity of the statement by considering the range of sentence available to cater for the suggestion in the statement. Introduction. Before we address the question on sentencing, we should first briefly define criminal courts in the justice system, especially with regard to convictions. The reason for a quick introduction to crime and criminal courts is because before we can even get to sentencing, we need to be able to tell what led to sentencing. That is the commission of a crime, the criminal court trial, and subsequently the sentencing order. This is where we are actually briefly defining sentencing and how it relates to crime and criminal courts. It should be noted that this is only a quick preview as detailed explanation of its relation will be dealt with in the contents of the answer. Therefore, a very brief mention will suffice. For the thesis statement, in order to determine if reformation and rehabilitation should outweigh the need for retribution, we will first consider the two conflicting aims of sentencing and the range of sentences available to achieve the balance between these two aims. Point 1. Define retribution and rehabilitation. Illustrate and explain how it works. This first part is crucial in the proper development of our essay because if we do not introduce the two main aims that the question is focusing on in detail first, then we will not be able to critically evaluate what the statement is suggesting. These two aims should be explained in detail and illustrations made to justify the purpose of these aims. After that, we should go through some of the differences and similarities between the two aims. We can do so by giving our own views, comments, and opinions in the discussion. However, it should be noted that we should not delve in too deep into the discussion on which is better, as we need to leave some points for us to emphasize on once we've discussed the range of suitable types of sentences available. While discussing retribution and rehabilitation, some mention of the other aims of sentencing should also be made, especially where there is some relation to the two main aims. For example, the aim to incapacitate offenders can be related to retribution as both are actual forms of punishment. Alright, let's take a break and see what today's surprise is. Today's surprise is earphone hacks. Let's take a look. That was some surprising earphone hacks.
Stay tuned for more at the end of the video. In the meantime, let's get back to our video tutorial.
Point 2. Discuss some specific types of sentence which can be related to the two aims of sentencing that the question is focusing on. State that the relevant types of sentencing are custodial sentences and community sentences. Custodial sentences are sentences which require the offender to be in the custody of the state, i.e., to be in some form of imprisonment, while community sentences are sentences which keeps the offender in the community while still being under the probation of the state. The importance of discussing the two main aims of sentencing first is so that now when we are discussing the types of sentencing available, we can focus on the sentencing options that are most relevant to the aims that the question is focusing on. For retribution, suitable type of sentence is definitely custodial sentence, and for rehabilitation, a suitable type of sentence is community sentence. Some of the suitable range of sentences within these two types of sentences should also be considered, together with how it may relate to the two main aims of sentencing. For example, the most serious form of custodial sentence to achieve the aim of retribution is the mandatory life imprisonment. Point 3. After discussing the two main aims of sentencing and how it relates to some of the sentencing options, it is time that we consider the validity of the statement and examine it critically. To do so, we have to critically evaluate all that have been discussed in point 1 and point 2. Here is where we can now highlight all the good points and bad points of both retribution and rehabilitation in relation to the sentencing options that have already been discussed earlier. After that, an informed decision should be made alongside our views, comments, and opinions on whether or not we agree with what the statement in the question is suggesting. It is now important for us to get into the heart of the matter and then steer our essay to either support the statement or disagree with it. A little bit of general knowledge and objective view on the matter will be able to earn the candidate some extra credit, i.e., that the world today is more passionate towards criminals and supposed wrongdoers than it has been in the past, and so rehabilitation is preferable. Or that the candidate might feel very much for the need for retribution and that criminals should be given their just deserts.
Conclusion. To conclude, we should briefly summarize what we have discussed throughout the essay. The summary should briefly highlight some of the most important points of the essay which addresses the question properly. Lastly, we should address the question by stating our stand on whether or not reformation and rehabilitation should outweigh the need for retribution by briefly highlighting some of the most important points to support our view. After much critical thought and discussion, a conclusion can be made and must coincide with our general view throughout the discussion.
Before I end the video, let us just review the whole answer one more time so that we can prepare ourselves to write the full essay. In order to determine if reformation and rehabilitation should outweigh the need for retribution, we have considered the two conflicting aims of sentencing and the range of sentences available to achieve the balance between these two aims. After that, we have defined and explained both retribution and rehabilitation and considered the differences and similarities between the two aims while relating them to relevant sentencing options. Finally, we addressed the main part of the question, which is to discuss the validity of the statement. To do so, we have endeavored to critically evaluate both aims and sentencing options and then came with a conclusion. That is the end of the video guide. I hope it has helped you in your legal studies. Do check out part 2 of this video where I'll go through with you the full essay answer of this question. I will link the video in the description below. If you have any questions, comments, or any suggestions on what other topics you would like me to cover, please leave a comment on this video. And again, if you find this video guide useful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I will be uploading new video guides on different topics every week. Thank you.